What's up guys, Pop My Pigs for Life here, and today we're back with another episode of Paleocamp in Jurassic World Evolution 3. So if you guys remember last episode, we worked on the waterfront. We added in a ton of dinosaurs, such as the Kentrosaurus. Got a big old herd of Kentrosaurus over here. Over here we've got a group of Allosaurus. Specifically the African subspecies of Allosaurus. Or, well, the African species because, well, taxonomy. On this island, we've got the Gorgosaurus. Gorgosaurus Island, as I'll call it. They seem to be enjoying their habitat. And, of course, we added in an absolute ton of herbivores. And we also got some adorable little babies, such as some baby Myosaura. We got some baby Edmontonius, you know, as well as the adults, but the babies are cuter. And we've got some baby Lokiceratops. And let's take a look at some of the adults. Oh, look at all of them! Wait, what skin is this? Ah, interesting. I think we have a little genetic mutation going on over here. Ooh, social animation. Aw, that's what I love seeing. Happy, healthy Myosauras. Okay, this I think is the adult male. Adult female, and another adult female. And a ton of little babies. And of course the Lokiceratops. As stunning as ever. So yeah, as you can see, Paleocamp is nearly finished. We just have one little area to work on, and that is right up here. So, like I mentioned last episode, when I went on the honors retreat this past summer, one thing that was really cool about the camp is that they had a little farm going on. So they had chickens, they had sheep, they had goats. This wasn't at the camp, but nearby there was also a stable for some horses, like a little equestrian facility. So that's essentially what we're going to be doing in this area over here. So basically I downloaded a ton of farm type blueprints, and two of which are actually, well, this is a hatchery, but two of the blueprints that I downloaded are actually dinosaur encounters. So those two dinosaur encounters are going to have two species each. One is going to have Protoceratops and Oviraptor. The other is going to have Psittacosaurus and Liaoceratops, which is going to be what we use the Microceratus as. So I do also have a couple of other blueprints, such as these chicken coop type blueprints, and essentially we're going to be using those for the Dilong, which is what we are going to be using as a substitute for Morris Intrepidus. And oh yeah, I do also have this little hay barn that we can use as decoration, but there is one other little dinosaur shelter, if I can find it. Oh, I do also have a little goat pen right here. Okay, so there's also this like little dinosaur shelter, but there was one other one that I'm looking for, and I don't know where it is. Ah, right here. So that giant shed is essentially going to be for Velociraptor, which, if you guys saw last episode, this is very controversial, but we are essentially using Coelophysis as a more accurate Velociraptor. Why? Because they're small. And that's pretty much the only explanation why. So what I think I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to go ahead and plan out exactly where each of these buildings are going to go, and then I'm going to get back to you guys once we have a pretty rough idea on well, where each of the buildings is gonna go, like I said. So yeah, with that being said, let's jump right into the time-lapse. Okay guys, so kicking off today's time-lapse, the first thing that we essentially have to do is we are marking out the general area where the farm area is going to go. We definitely do not need to use the entire top area of the Northwest USA map for a couple of tiny dinosaurs. So because of that, we were able to save a huge chunk of land up in that top area for something that you will see in a little bit. Once we know exactly how much space we are going to be using, we can then start to plan out where all of the buildings are going to go. As you can see, what I ended up doing for the fence is I took a chunk of the fence from one of the chicken coops that I downloaded from the Frontier Workshop, and I decided to use that same sort of fence design for most of the enclosures that we will be making in this time lapse. So the enclosure that we are working on right now is going to be for the Protoceratops and the Oviraptor. As you can see, there is a dinosaur encounter that we have for this enclosure. Unfortunately, the Oviraptors won't be able to interact with the guests, but the Protoceratops will be able to. Here you can see that we are adding in both the Oviraptors and Protoceratops. And one thing that I found a little bit annoying, not just for this enclosure, but for all of the other enclosures that we end up doing for the farm area, is when it came to adding in the water, the dinosaurs were actually obstructing where I was able to place the water. So because of that, you'll be able to see in a bit that when we add in some of our other dinosaurs, such as the Dilong, that it was really a struggle to add in the water. Eventually, I did learn from that mistake, and for the Psittacosaurus and Liaoceratops enclosure, I made sure to add in the water before bringing the dinosaurs into their enclosure. So now we are working on the Velociraptor enclosure. It's pretty much the same design that we have going on for the Protoceratops and Oviraptor enclosure, where we've got the fence that came from that chicken coop blueprint. And of course they do have not one, but two shelters. They have that giant shed that they will share with the Dilong, but they also have their own individual chicken coop. And now you can see that we are actually working on the Dilong enclosure itself. And as we're doing that, I just wanted to take a quick moment to address the elephant in the room. It has been quite a while since I have really uploaded anything, and I do really apologize for my lack of uploads. I'm not gonna get into anything too personal, but I have been definitely struggling the past few weeks with motivation. Honestly, it really doesn't have too much to do with YouTube. It's more so the fact that I just wasn't really motivated to do anything, let alone make videos. I definitely think that you guys can probably tell in my voice that something is a little bit off, and yeah, honestly, I just haven't really been 100% lately. Of course, I have also been pretty busy with schoolwork, but yeah, those are really the two big things that have been going on, is both schoolwork, but also, I don't know, I just haven't really been feeling up for anything lately. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys for being patient and not unsubscribing by this point. And I'm really hoping to finally be getting back into the swing of things when it comes to making these videos, because deep down, I really do enjoy making videos for you all. So now back to exactly what we're doing in the time lapse. Basically what we are doing is we are working on a little bit of a goat pen, and one thing that I'm actually noticing is a huge difference from some of the earlier games is that after a while in the earlier games, or at least I remember this happening in Jurassic World Evolution 1, is that after a while the goats would just die like any other dinosaur. But here I'm noticing that after being in the game for a while, they are just still there. Which I don't know if they did that for Evolution 2 at all, but I definitely remember this not being the case for Evolution 1 at the very least. So now you can see that we are working on the Psittacosaurus and Liaoceratops enclosure. You could see that unlike the other enclosures, we are using this white picket fence that came with this particular dinosaur encounter blueprint. So yeah, I felt like since these are small dinosaurs, we can just make do with a little bit of a lower fence. So now that we've got the rough idea of the actual farm area, now we are working a little bit on the surroundings. So as you guys could see, we did end up doing a little bit of terrain work. Essentially, this is going to be a little bit of a hill slash cliffside, and on top we are going to have a group of Yutyrannus, again going with the Yixian formation theme. But one idea that I also decided to do, and this was after watching The Dinosaurs on Netflix, is that we're going to be using Apatosaurus as Dongbeititan, which was a sauropod that lived in the Yixian formation. Honestly, I feel like at this point we're just using Apatosaurus as anything other than Apatosaurus, and I feel like that's mostly because if you take a look at Mesozoic North America, there is already an absolute ton of representation, and because of that, I want to give a little bit more representation to some other continents, some other dig sites, and I feel like Apatosaurus is one of those dinosaurs that can just be substituted for any other larger, medium-sized sauropod. So now you can see we are working on the Dilong enclosure. Previously, we just worked on the Velociraptor enclosure, and both are very similar in the sense that we got sand, we've got a smaller sort of watering hole. And one other thing that I love going from Evolution 2 to Evolution 3 is I love how for the smaller carnivores, especially the Coelophysis and Morus intrepidus, that the batch sizes are significantly decreased. So now you can see that we are working a little bit more on the surrounding area for the Yutyrannus and Dongbeititan. You can see here that we are working on sort of a trail. Basically, the idea is that a trained camp counselor would take the campers on sort of a walk amongst the dinosaurs type of experience for the Dongbeititan. What I decided to do for the water is, again, I decided to add in a waterfall, going from the top of the cliff where the Yutyrannus are, as you can see we are adding now, and going into a little pond down by the Dongbeititans. Here you can see that we're just making sure that the Dongbeititans have enough space. The Yutyrannus didn't need as much space as I gave them, so because of that, we are just modifying the cliff to give the Dongbeititans enough room, so that way we could also then add in a couple more Dongbeititan individuals. One thing that I also decided for the Yutyrannus and Dongbeititan area is I decided to add in a little bit of snow, because the Yixian formation was believed to be a little bit more of a temperate environment, and many paleontologists believe that the area would have gotten frequent snow. So now all we have left to do is add in the Psittacosaurus, which we are doing now, as well as the Liaoceratops, and then we can call this place finished. Alrighty guys, so here is the fully finished farm section of Paleocamp. So right here, when you're walking towards the farm section, you've got the Protoceratops and Oviraptor paddock to your left. There's a little hay barn for the staff members. We've got another pen for the Liaoceratops and Psittacosaurus. One thing I did do off camera is I decided to add in a third batch of Liaoceratops and a second batch of Protoceratops. One thing I also did off camera is I added a little bit of path right up against the fence between the Protoceratops and Oviraptor enclosure and the Velociraptor enclosure. And I was also able to give the goats a little bit more space. We've got our Velociraptor paddock, our Dilong paddock. We've got this little shelter, and by little I mean huge shelter. This, I guess, could also be a little bit more of like a maintenance barn. Maybe like they do some dinosaur encounters over here. And then we've got a little maintenance area over here. We've got a little path going through the forest. And if we stray from the path, go through this gate, we've got an area for the Dongbeititans. As you can see, I did also do this off camera. I added in this lookout tower. It's really just a dome viewing gallery, but someone made this beautiful watchtower out of it. And I was able to hide the viewing dome entrance right over here. And of course, we do also have the Yutyrannus living up here. So then one last thing I also did off camera is that the same person who made this very nice looking remote viewing gallery also made this kayak station, and I feel like this kayak station fits the aesthetic of Paleocamp so much better than the previous one did. So now one thing that I think I do want to also do is I want to add in a couple of balloon rides, mostly so that way guests can have a good view of all of these guys over here that we got in episode 1, as well as a view of the Dongbeititans and the Yutyrannus. Don't worry, we'll get to take an up-close look of the dinosaurs in just a little bit, but first we gotta do that. So to start, I downloaded 2 different blueprints. We've got one here, which I think I'm gonna put right over here. Fits absolutely perfectly over here. Make sure we can see the entire area, and then it'll go back over here. So then our second balloon tour is gonna go right over here by the zip line, because if we take a look wherever, hang on, I know how to play this game, kind of, right here, if you guys can take a close look, it's got like a little bit of a lookout going on, so I feel like it's perfect for the ropes course over here. So we do have to do a little bit of clearing things. Okay guys, so as we are adding in the second balloon tour, I just want to quickly mention that this year we are trying to reach 200 subscribers before the end of 2026. So if you're enjoying this video so far, then please consider leaving a like, commenting down below, and subscribing to the channel to see some more videos just like this one. Not only does that help support the channel, but it'll also help the YouTube algorithm by recommending more videos that you might find interesting. And as always, by simply taking the time out of your day to sit down and watch this video is already showing a tremendous amount of support. So as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. Yeah, perfect. This all looks amazing. Okay, so now that we've finished adding in those last minute additions, let's take a moment now to just take a look at and appreciate our dinosaurs. So over here we've got Protoceratops. The male is this darker brownish, grayish color with some orange spots, orange pattern on the frill. And then the females are this little bit paler brownish. Yeah, I want to stick with this brown because the environment that they lived in, which was the Jurassic Formation, was thought to have been a desert. So because of that, I wanted to sort of emulate that in our Protoceratops. So in here we've got 2 males and we've got 6 females. So now over here we've got the Oviraptor. For the females, I decided to go with the Dominion skin. Yeah, I feel like this looks good. It reminds me of some of the chickens my grandparents have. And then I believe same thing. We've got couple males, couple females. I forget exactly. But for the males, I decided on this more bluish gray color. Now, I got inspiration for these guys from one of my favorite chicken breeds, and that is the Plymouth Rock chicken, with the bluish, grayish color. The Plymouth Rock chickens do have, like, white speckles, but I decided to go with some, like, orange speckles. I think I also really like the blue on the head crest. And so, sticking in the Jurassic formation, over here we've got our Velociraptors. So the males are sort of this darker gray, and the females are a bit more of a paler gray color. Yeah, so here you can see them side by side. I know they're in the shade, but yeah, the female is a lot paler in color. So then moving on over to the Yutyrannus formation, over here we've got our Dilong. For the females, I decided to use the Dominion skin once again. And for the males, I chose this brighter red color. Again, a lot of inspiration from chickens because you've got the males, which are just a lot more flashy, a lot more vibrant in their colors. We've got the Liaoceratops and the Psittacosaurus. So the Psittacosaurus, we actually know what color Psittacosaurus were. And I did, like, unintentionally kind of emulate that with the females. And then with the males, I took a little bit more creative liberty. That's not a male. Took a little bit more creative liberty and made them, like, this sort of bluish color. And this time what I decided to do is I decided to do 3 males, 3 females. So, like, monogamously paired, as opposed to, like, one alpha male and, like, a bunch of its females. However, with the Liaoceratops, I did kind of the opposite. So, I did 2 different variations of females, both of which being, no surprise here, both the Dominion skins. And then for the male, I decided on this greener Liaoceratops, something that we saw in, I believe, some of the concept designs for Jurassic World Dominion. So that's where I got inspiration for that. And then if we go over to the outskirts, we've got Dongbeititan over here. The females are this, like, plainish gray, kind of like what we see in movies. And then the males have this striking pattern with these white dots, these black stripes. I honestly really like the skin. And then over here, we have got the Yutyrannus. So the male is this nice and bright white with the, like, blue little crests above the eye. And then the females are a bit more of a grayish color. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with all these dinosaurs and, like, how things have turned out here. I was originally going to do a little bit of dinosaur breeding with the Psittacosaurus, Liaoceratops, Protoceratops, and Oviraptor. Ooh, looks like we've got a little bit of a guest encounter. Oh my gosh. This is absolutely amazing. Oh, and they're socializing. I want to see this. Aw, so cute. I want one. I want one in real life. If I could have any dinosaur as a pet, it would be Protoceratops. So yeah, like I said, Originally, my plan was to breed these 4 dinosaurs. However, the quarters here are a little bit on the tighter end, so I don't think that that's what we're going to be doing in Paleocamp, but do not worry, we will definitely be seeing more of these guys in some future park builds. Don't want to spoil anything. I'm not going to say anything more because I want to leave it a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, so with all that being said, that is pretty much the completion of Paleocamp. So I think all we have left to do is get a look at this place from a guest perspective. So because that is what we will be doing in the next video. So yeah, with that being said, that is going to wrap up today's video. Really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If so, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see some more Planet Zoo and Jurassic World Evolution 3 content. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.